Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namah Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So good morning, dear devotees. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak today. Today's a very auspicious day. It's the disappearance day of Sripad Madhva Acharya. And Madhva Acharya is a very important personality in our lineage. Anyone knows the name, official name of our lineage?
Brahma Madhva Gaudiya.
Yeah, we're the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. So our Sampradaya starts with Lord Krishna. Sampradaya means lineage. So our Sampradaya starts with Lord Krishna, who imparted knowledge to Lord Brahma, the firstborn being, at the time of creation. And Brahma, he taught the same knowledge he received from Krishna to his son Narad Muni. And Narad Muni taught Vyasa. We read this in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the first canto, how Vyasa was despondent after writing down all the Vedas. And then Narada appeared to bestow upon him the full perfection of spiritual knowledge by teaching him about Bhagavan. And then he wrote Srimad Bhagavatam, the essence of all Vedic knowledge. And from Vyasa, the next one in line is Madhva. So in Madhva's lineage appeared a personality named Madhavendra Puri, was a sannyasi, and his disciple was Ishvara Puri. It's also described sometimes that Nityananda is a disciple of Madhavendra Puri, and Advaitacharya, we heard about that yesterday, a couple of days ago. Advaitacharya is a disciple of Madhavendra Puri. Now, Madhavendra Puri, he was a disciple of Lakshmipati Tirtha, it said. And Lakshmipati Tirtha was a Madhva sannyasi as well. So sometimes Nityananda Prabhu is described as being a disciple of Lakshmipati Tirtha, sometimes as Madhavendra Puri. But in any case, we come from this lineage of Madhva, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted initiation in this lineage. Now, we are not exactly Madhva Sampradaya. We are what's called Shakha, a branch of the Madhva Sampradaya. So that means we're slightly different as well. That's why the Madhvites, they don't worship Radha and Krishna. They just worship Krishna, Lord Narayana. The Madhvites, they have a different kind of tilak, different kind of markings on their forehead. They have, according to the Madhva Sampradaya, Vishnu is supreme, and Lord Krishna is the avatar, the incarnation of Lord Vishnu. So there are some differences there as well, but there's also foundational principles which are foundational to both sampradayas. So we are Madhva Sampradaya, and we are at the same time a little different, like a shaka. That's why it's called shaka. It's a branch. Like it's not, a branch is not exactly the tree. It's a part of the tree, but it's also different from the whole tree. So I want to speak a little bit more about this personality because we don't actually hear so much about Madhva. I think many of us don't actually. If I ask you who's Madhva, what did he taught, or what is life like, you probably won't know. Even many of the devotees who've been practicing for a long time, maybe initiated even in this lineage, they actually may not exactly know who Madhva was, why he appeared, and what he taught. So I took a bit of a deep dive for this class. I'm going to do my best to pack as much as I can in the next 25 minutes. Um, I want to take you to a verse of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. I'm going to read a little bit from this. So, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was traveling after taking sannyas. He was in Puri, then he started traveling South India. And he went all the way like, down south through Rangakshetra, all the way to Rameshwaram, and then he went back up, and then he came to what's called Udupi. Udupi is the seat of the Madhva Sampradaya. It's Madhva is born in that area, and that's where he had his headquarters. It's still the main, like Mayapur and Vrindavan are our main seats of our Sampradaya. So Udupi is the main seat of the Madhva Sampradaya. So just pulling up this verse. Yes. Madhvacharya stane oila yangha tattvavadi. Udupite Krishna dekhe tahan hoila premonmadi. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu next arrived at Udupi, the place of Madhvacharya, where the philosophers known as Tattvavadis resided. There he saw the deity of Lord Krishna and became mad with ecstasy. So Prabhupada, in his purport, he gives a short synopsis of the life of Madhvacharya. So this will be the basis of our class. Sripad Madhvacharya took his birth near Udupi, which is situated in the South Kannada district of South India, just west of Sahyadri. This is the chief city of the South Kannada province and is near the city of Mangalore, which is situated on the south of Udupi. So Kannada, Karnataka, these are all the same. Near the city of Udupi is a place called Pajaka Kshetra, where Madhvacharya took his birth in a Shivali Brahmana dynasty as the son of Madhyagaya Bhatta in the year 1040 Shakabda or 1118 AD. According to some, he was born in the year 1160 Shakabda or AD 1238. So quite a difference there of 110 years, 120 years. Everybody's in agreement on the date, the Tithi he took birth, which is the same as Dashira. But there's some difference of opinion about the exact year he took birth. In his childhood, Madhvacharya was known as Vasudeva, and there's some wonderful stories surrounding him. It is said that once when his father had piled up many debts, Madhvacharya converted tamarind seeds into actual coins to pay them off. When he was 5 years old, he was offered the sacred thread. A demon named Maniman lived near his abode in the form of a snake, and at the age of 5, Madhvacharya killed that snake with the toe of his left foot. When his mother was very much disturbed, he would appear before her in one jump. He was a great scholar even in childhood, and although his father did not agree, he accepted sannyasa at the age of 12. Upon receiving sannyasa from Achyuta Preksha, he received the name Purna Pragya Tirtha. After traveling all over India, he finally discussed scriptures with Vijay Shankara, the leader of the Sringeri Mutt. The Sringeri Mutt is the main monastery of the followers of Shankaracharya. Vijay Shankara was actually diminished in the presence of Madhvacharya. Accompanied by Satya Tirtha, this is his servant, Madhvacharya went to Badrik Ashram with Gita before him. Thus he became a great scholar by studying before Vyasadeva. By the time he came to the Ananda Mutt, from Badarik ashram, Madhvacharya had finished his commentary on the Bhagavad Gita. His companion Satyatirtha wrote down the entire commentary. When Madhvacharya returned from Badarik ashram, he went to Ganjama, which is situated on the bank of the river Godavari. There he met with two learned scholars named Shobhana Bhatta and Swami Shastri. Later, these scholars became known in the disciplic succession of Madhvacharya's Padmanabha Tirtha and Narahari Tirtha. These were two of his main followers. When he returned to Udupi, he would sometimes bathe in the ocean. On such an occasion, he composed a prayer in 5 chapters. Once, while sitting beside the sea, in meditation, engrossed in meditation upon Lord Krishna, he saw that a large boat containing goods for Dwarka was in danger. He gave some signs by which the boat could approach the shore, and it was saved. The owner of the boat wanted to give him a present, and at that time Madhvacharya agreed to take some gopi chandana. He received a big lump of gopi chandana, and as it was being brought to him, it broke apart and revealed a large deity of Lord Krishna. So this deity is called Udupi Krishna, and this is the deity Lord Chaitanya is seeing, and he's dancing in ecstasy before. The deity had a stick in one hand and a lump of food in the other. As soon as Madhvacharya received the deity of Krishna in this way, he composed a prayer. The deity was so heavy that not even 30 people could lift it. Yet Madhvacharya personally brought this deity to Udupi. 8 of Madhvacharya's sannyas disciples became directors of his 8 monasteries. Worship of the Lord Krishna deity is still going on in Udupi, according to the plans Madhvacharya established. Madhvacharya then, for the second time, visited Badarik Ashrama. While he was passing through Maharashtra, the local king was digging a big lake for the public benefit. As Madhvacharya passed through that area with his disciples, he was obliged to help the excavation. After some time, when Madhvacharya visited the king, he engaged the king in that work and departed with his disciples. So we'll stop here with reading. I'll fill in some other things. So this description is largely based on a book called Madhva Vidya. So Madhvacharya had another disciple. His name was Trivikram Pandit Acharya. It was one of his most prominent disciples. And he had a son named Narayana Pandit Acharya. And he wrote a biography of Madhvacharya. So he heard directly from his father. And he was still also, he was born while Madhva was still around. So he describes in this book, Madhva Vidya, he starts with a glorification of Hanuman, and then a glorification of Bhima. So both Hanuman and Bhima, they are related to Vayu, the fire, the god of the wind. So it's said that Vayu incarnated as Hanuman along with Sri Ramachandra to help him in his mission of destroying the demons and establishing dharma and protecting the devotees. And Bhimasena, the brother of Arjuna, is also considered an incarnation, at least empowered incarnation of Vayu in our lineage, who helped Lord Krishna in his mission of diminishing the burden of the earth, destroying the evil, establishing dharma, and protecting the devotees. So we see that Bhimasena, he had and also Hanuman, they both had extraordinary bodily strength. So the Bhima had the strength of 10,000 elephants. So he, alone with his club, he fought whole armies. So Bhima, he killed the very powerful demon Jarasandha. He killed all the 100 sons of Dhritarashtra, all powerful fighters. So Bhima was an extraordinarily powerful person. As was Hanuman, who single-handedly burned down entire Lanka and took on the whole army of Ravana, basically single-handedly. So they're all incarnations of Vayu. We see how powerful the wind is, even in this world. The hurricane comes and the whole city is wiped out. So Vayu is very powerful. So Madhvacharya similarly being, according to this book, Madhvacharya is the third incarnation of Vayu, who incarnated along with Srila Vyasadeva. Srila Vyasadeva is also considered an incarnation of Vishnu, Narayana, or empowered incarnation, to divide the Vedas and to present them for Kali Yuga, when the Vedas were being when it's hard to remember all the Vedic knowledge. But in the course of time, after Vyasadev's appearance, Shankaracharya, first Buddhism conquered over India, and the Vedas got lost, and the Vedic knowledge got diminished, overshadowed by Buddhism. And then Shankaracharya came, who commented on the Vedic knowledge, but he did so not directly. Actually, according to the Madhva Sampradaya, they consider Shankaracharya a demon who was killed by Bhimasena and who appeared in this world again to create some havoc by not. Demons always want to kill Krishna. They always want to get rid of Krishna and Vishnu. They're always against him. So sometimes they fight him physically, or they come up with all kinds of philosophy and arguments in order to diminish Krishna. So they consider him in that way. We consider him differently. We consider him an incarnation of Lord Shiva. But yes, he preached a covered form of Buddhism. Narayan Panditacharya says, just like the Buddhists, they preach Sunyavad, that everything is void, that Shunya is the highest. So Shankaracharya, he preached that Brahman is the highest, but that Brahman is almost Sunya. It's as good as Sunya. It has no qualities, no form, no names. So there's no variety. Nirvishesha. There's no variety. It's impersonalism. So, and this philosophy became very prominent. It's even the most prominent Vedic philosophy nowadays. So that philosophy covered the original teachings of Vyasadeva. So Madhvacharya appeared, according to the Madhva Sampradaya, as an incarnation of Vayu to assist Vyasadeva in clearing the air, so to say, of this Mayavada philosophy. So this philosophy of Shankaracharya is also called Mayavada. Anyone knows the meaning of Mayavada? Because actually it's also called Advaitavada. It's the theory of non-dualism, that there's only one entity. But why is it called Mayavada?
Because they say that individuality and the world are Maya, or illusion, that everything is just Brahman, or one. Or not Brahman, yes. But the underlying, of existence is just one.
Yeah, thank you, Venumadhu. Krishna Dai Prabhu?
Yes, so something similar. So this world, whatever we see, everything is illusion. So whatever is temporary is illusion. So that's what. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. So only truth is Brahman, Jagat is Mithya.
Yes. So this is their philosophy, that there's only Brahman, and Brahman is without qualities, without form. Brahman is all pervading everywhere. But this material world is full of qualities. It is full of names, full of forms. So they say, well, all of this is all illusion. That's all Maya. All names, forms, qualities, that's all Maya. So ultimately, there's no Krishna Daya, there's no Venu Madhuri, there's no Ananda Bihari, there's no Amrita Kishori. There's none of us actually are real. There's only one Brahman, and only out of illusion do we think there's qualities and form, names, individuality, and so on. And similarly, they say, well, what about Ishvara then, who is described throughout all the Vedas? Who is Ishvara then? Because he's described as beyond Maya, as the controller of Maya. Well, they say, well, although even he's the controller of Maya, he's still also subject to Maya. He's the Brahman, but he's also, because he has name, form, etc., that's also the most subtle manifestation of Maya. So actually, non-dualism is quite dualistic. There's Brahman and there's Maya. So, and therefore they say, Brahma Satyam, only Brahman is truth, and Jagat, which is all named for varieties and so on, is Mityam, is false. So of course, and also they say that ultimately the goal is to merge into Brahman, to become one with the Brahman, or to just realize our oneness with Brahman. And as such, bhakti, there's at the stage of liberation, there's no more bhakti. Bhakti may be a means to that final liberation, but there's no ultimate bhakti. Bhakti is therefore also Maya in a sense, because it's bhakti means there's individuality, there's the object of worship, there's the worshipper, and there's the process of worship. So there's variety. So they also say that's Maya. So in this way, Shankara covered the true meaning of the Vedas, that everything is not Maya, everything is Krishna and Krishna's energy. So Madhvacharya, he appeared. His very purpose of his appearance was to eliminate this philosophy from the world. So yes, and that if you read his commentaries, his texts, he always takes exactly the opposite meaning of Shankaracharya. For example, the Mahavakya of Shankaracharya was Tat Tvam Asi. That Tvam, you, Asi. That you are. So that the Supreme Brahman, you are. Ultimately, you are that Brahman. So what goes before that is Sa Atma Tattvam Asi. That Atma, that Supreme Self, Brahman, that you are. This is spoken by a teacher to a student named Shweta Ketu. So he said, that Supreme Brahman, who's known as Atma, that you are. Now, there's a Sa-Atma Tattvam Asi. You can also read it as Sa-Atma At-Tattvam Asi. And this is how Madhva reads it. That Atma, that Supreme Brahman, Lord Vishnu, At-Tattvam Asi. You are not that, oh Shweta Ketu. So he takes exactly the opposite meaning. So this is just one example of how he always tried to defy Shankaracharya and establish that the supreme truth is Lord Narayana, Lord Vishnu, and that we're all his eternal servants. And there's, if you see pictures of Madhva, he always he often has his hands like this. That doesn't mean peace. He's more like, bring on the fight. Of course, he wanted to establish peace in the world, the peace of bhakti and devotion to Lord Narayan. So two means there's Dvaita, there's two principles. He taught there's essentially two principles. There is Brahman, the Supreme Brahman, who's really Bhagavan, who's Lord Vishnu, who's the source of everything. And he is Swatantra. He is completely self-reliant. He is the source of everything, and nothing is, he's not dependent on anything. As a matter of fact, everything is dependent on him. So there's two tattvas, two principles of existence. There's Swatantra tattva, the independent principle, Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna, and the dependent principles means the material nature and all living entities, they all depend on Lord Vishnu. And this is what is taught in the Vedas, in such verses, famous verses, which also Srila Prabhupada often quotes. Nityo Nityanam Chaitanash Chaitananam Eko Bahanam Yo Vidathati Kaman. So there's one eternal being, one conscious being among many eternal beings, many conscious beings. So yes, we are like Vishnu in some extent, but we're also very completely different from him. How are we different? Eko Bahunam Yo Vidathati Kaman. The one supreme, eternal, and conscious being, the source of everything, maintains all the other beings. We are dependent, and Vishnu is independent. He maintains everyone else. So, and that difference is eternal. That is always true, even in the liberated state. It's not that we become one with that truth. So Madhva painstakingly taught this self-evident truth from the Vedas, which Shankara had covered over. Even from a very young age, Madhva, he took birth in South India in a Brahmana family. In a young age, he was studying in the Gurukula. But the predominant philosophy at the time was Mayavada, was Advaitavada. So his guru, Achyuta Preksha, was also a Mayavadi. Although he was a good soul, he was influenced by that philosophy. But Madhva, from a young age, he very quickly mastered all the Shastras. He was very learned, very sharp, so very powerful, very strong, and very beautiful personality. It said he had all the lakshanas, all the symptoms of a Mahapurusha, or a great personality. There's 32 symptoms. You can read about this in the Nectar Devotion. Lord Krishna also had all of them. And Madhva had all 32 of them. So he was very beautiful. He was very tall and strong, and also extremely learned. And very quickly mastered grammar and logic, and so his studies of the Vedas started under Achyuta Preksha, but because he's not an ordinary personality, even though nobody taught him, he could immediately determine the true Siddhanta, the conclusions of the Vedas, that this philosophy of Shankaracharya actually didn't do justice. His Mayavada doesn't do justice, because whenever the Shastras speak about the qualities of Ishvara, and that this material nature is also Brahman, is also a manifestation of Brahman. The Mayavas say it's unreal. But the Shastras speak about this all the time. So basically, they're saying that whenever the Shastras speak about the qualities of the Lord or the material nature as being his energy, like Krishna says, I am the light of the sun and the moon, I'm the taste of water. And so they say this is all actually speaking on the level of ignorance, of Maya. So they basically say Vasudev speaks, sometimes he speaks about the truth, and most of the time he speaks also about Maya in a different way. So Madhva didn't like this imperfect description of Shankaracharya, and he started to refute it. But he was very strong, and very from a very young age, he just mastered the Vedic knowledge, and became completely detached from household life. He didn't want to enter in household life. When his parents started suggesting household life, he said no. He wanted to take sannyasa. So at the age of 12, Achyuta Preksha gave him sannyasa, and like a month or so after, a great Mayavadi scholar came to Udupi and challenged everyone. He was kind of reputed throughout all of India. His name was also Vasudeva Pandit. And Madhva, he defeated him. And at that time, he got the name Ananda Tirtha. So this described that when he took sannyas, so his birth name is Vasudeva. Then he became Purna Pragya Tirtha when he took sannyas. Purna Pragya means one who's full in wisdom, full in knowledge. And then when he defeated this very great scholar, his guru was very proud of him, and he gave him the name Ananda Tirtha. Ananda Tirtha means abode of bliss. And Madhva is some they say in his sampradaya, he took this name himself later on. Madhva means sweetness, or it can also mean abode of sweetness. So Ananda Tirtha also means abode of sweetness. So Madhva means the same thing, according to some verses. So Ananda Tirtha, at that time he began to preach. He started to travel throughout South India and engaged in many debates, and he started to gather many followers. So when he came back after doing a tour of South India, he came back to his mutt in Udupi. Then his guru was very pleased that he was, creating a revolution. Actually, he was defeating the Mayavad philosophy and so on. and he started to gain many brilliant followers. And at that time, Achyuta Priksha kind of stepped back from teaching, and he became the main teacher of the math, of the monastery there. And actually, Achyuta Priksha, his guru, who was also influenced by Mayavadi, he gradually became also convinced by Madhvacharya, and he became his student. So in this way, the math where he was taught, he became his main seat of Madhvacharya. And even the guru of that original guru of his math became his disciple. So at some point, Madhva again started traveling again. By this time, he had composed a commentary on the Gita, started traveling north, and he went to Badarik Ashram. And then he went all the way north. His disciples actually couldn't go with him because humans can't go to the place where Vasudev resides at Badarik Ashram. So he went there and he recited his commentary. He presented his commentary on the Gita to Vyas, and Vyasadeva was very pleased with him, and he gave him further instructions. And he instructed him to write a commentary on the Brahma Sutras, on the Vedanta Sutras. So strengthened and blessed by Vyasa, Madhva descended, and then he immediately started to write the commentaries on the Gita. Actually, he never wrote. Madhvacharya never wrote. He dictated to his disciples in prose and verses, and then his disciples would write it down. So in this way, he started dictating the Gita commentary, this Brahma Sutra commentary, and as he traveled south again, and he met many scholars, and he again converted many to his philosophy of what he called Tattvavada, the doctrine of truth. So yes, and then he wrote many other commentaries on the Upanishads and on the Brahma on the Srimad Bhagavatam. And at some point he again went to Badarik Ashram. He took a second trip where he presented his Brahma Sutra commentary, and Vyasadeva again blessed him and he gave him 8 Shalagram Shilas, who are still, I guess, still worshipped. And he blessed his commentary, and then he told him to write a commentary on the Mahabharata, which he also did. So he's a prolific writer. He wrote many, many books. So he didn't actually write them himself. He just spoke them, and then disciples wrote him down perfectly. So while he was in Udupi, one time, as described in the purport, there was a boat which was in trouble. He directed the boat, and then the cargo of the ship was on the cargo was a big piece of gopi chandana, of tilak. So Madhva received that as a present, and then within that big chunk of tilak, there was a deity named Udupi Krishna. So this deity was installed by Madhvacharya, and that worship is still going on today. That's the main deity of the month. And he founded 8 monasteries. 8 of his principal sannyasi disciples, they all took charge of one monastery, and they still rotate. Every 2 years, one monastery takes charge of the deity in Udupi. So yeah, Madhvacharya firmly established bhakti. He was also a great musician. He had a beautiful voice. He also composed many prayers and stotras. He inspired also many other musicians. Like, still, Carnatic music is considered one of the great musical traditions of India and South India specifically. He inspired many devotees to compose songs in the local language, which are still very well known there. So he created a great deluge of bhakti. So yes, just to end, how do we connect with Madhvacharya? So like I said, we are a branch, but so we have differences, but in essence, we have the same philosophy. So Baladev Vidyabhushan, one of our acharyas, he also came from the Madhva line, but he knew the Madhva line well. And he clearly established that we are part of the Madhva Sampradaya. He does so in a book called Prameya Ratnavali. And there are 9 principles outlined by the followers of Madhvacharya. Just a second here. I'll just pull that up. So he says, Sri Madhva Praha. Madhva says, Vishnum Paratamam. Lord Vishnu is the supreme truth. Akhilam Maya, Akhilam Naya Vedyam. And he is to be known by all the Vedas. Vishwam Satyam. The universe is truth. Because the universe comes from the absolute truth. That's why the universe is truth. It's not mithya. It's not false, as the Mayavadis say. So that's the third principle. First, Vishnu is supreme. Second, he's to be understood alone by all the Vedas. Vedaishcha sarva ahameva Vedya, Krishna also says. I am to be understood by all the Vedas. The universe is not false. It's real. The third principle. And Bhedam cha. Difference is also real. There are real differences between us and the Lord. There's differences between us as living beings. There's a difference between us and material nature. So there's so many differences. A lot more can be said about that, but difference is also real. Jivan Haricharana Jushaha. All the living beings, the jivas, are Haricharana Jushaha. They are servants of Lord Hari. The jiva is not one with Brahman, but we're all servants of Hari. And taratamyam chitesham. And there's a gradation between them. Not all jivas are the same. Madhva has a certain philosophy on this. Our philosophy is a little bit different on that part, but we do establish that there's different kinds of jivas. Some are bound, some are liberated. So that's the first distinction. Secondly, within even the liberated souls, there's so many different gradations of bhakti. And some are higher, some are lower. Or some have greater level of prema, of love, than others. You can read about this in the Goswami literature. Moksham, Vishnu Angri Lava. Moksha is the attainment of Lord Vishnu's lotus feet. So it's not becoming one with Brahman, but attainment of his lotus feet. Tat Amala Bhajanam Tasya Hetum. And the cause of liberation is Tat Amala Bhajanam, pure devotional service to him. And the source of true knowledge is threefold: sense perception, logic, and most important, Shabda, the Vedic revelation. So all these principles which I just described, we all have in common with the Madhva Sampradaya. So we're built on the same truth, the same principles, although our rituals may be slightly different. We have some slight differences in understanding, but these 9 principles, they were taught by Madhva, and also Upadishiti Harihi Krishna Chaitanya Chandra. Lord Chaitanya also accepted all these principles of the Madhva Sampradaya and taught them as well. So in this way, we are a branch, but we also have the same philosophical foundation as the Madhva Sampradaya. This was a large subject, and I really wanted to do justice to it, so I took a little more time, for which I apologize. Any questions?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Does Madhvacharya have, is there a history of an enlightenment period? Like Lord Chaitanya met the Ishwar Puri, or, Prabhupada met Bhaktisiddhanta. Is there any Leela like that as well for
No,
Madhvacharya?
interestingly, no. From my studies and from reading Madhva Vijay, no. He just immediately, intuitively understood the true meaning of the Vedas. He wasn't really, you don't really find a guru figure who taught him in that. So of course, it was all confirmed by Vasudev. So Vasudev is considered his guru, who gave him also further instruction. So he's in the disciplic lineage, but he was, because he's a pure devotee from birth. So he immediately, intuitively understood all the Shastras and its true meaning, and could defend it and also defeat others. Any other questions?
Vasudev Prabhu, wonderful class. What's the general mood of a Gaudiya Vaishnava devotee in regards to this other bona fide sampradayas? Because, the first thing that comes to mind is that my sampradaya is bona fide and legit, and therefore how can other sampradayas be legit?
Yeah, so we Gaudiyas are actually very broad-minded in that sense. Like, for example, in the Madhva Sampradaya, there's a lot of polemics, of course, against Shankaracharya, and also even against Ramanujacharya. Whereas in our Sampradaya, we even accept Shankaracharya to a large extent. We don't accept the final conclusion, but we do accept him even as an incarnation of Lord Shiva. We accept Ramanujacharya, we accept Madhvacharya. So in many ways, we accept principles of all these sampradayas, and we honored all of them. And at the same time, we try to synthesize the conclusions of all of them in the philosophy of Chincha Beda Beda, which is a large subject, how that works. But our approach to other sampradayas is overall very respectful, but we do very strongly disagree with the conclusion of Shankaracharya of the Mayavada, that Krishna is Maya. And of course, Madhva strongly spoke against that, and Srila Prabhupada, following his lineage, also Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatara. His mission was to eradicate this philosophy as well. So he very strongly writes against it. So we have respect for all Vaishnava Sampradayas, even respect for Shankaracharya. And at the same time, we strongly disagree with his conclusion. And all the other Sampradayas, Vaishnava Sampradayas, we honor them all. Jai.
Thank you, Vasudev.
Srimad Acharya ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Vasudev Prabhu ki jai. Darshan time, dear devotees. If possible, turn on your camera. Bring your friends, like Mike did. Fix your friend's hair. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Vasudev Prabhu. If you're still here, thank you for holding our sampradaya together, for representing Vyasadev so nicely.
Nandi Bihari Prabhu, I'll do quickly Guru Puja for Prabhupada, just 5 minutes.
Okay.
I can join the afterglow, so if somebody...
Okay, yeah. We had a question from Gail, right, Gail? And Gail's questions are heavy duty.
No, it wasn't really a question. I was just going to mention the fact that Shankaracharya, although he preached a Mayavada, at the end, right, didn't he say that, worship Govinda, because he was actually a devotee.
So yes. Okay, yeah, no, there's someone here to lead Guru Puja, so I can just stay here. Yes, that's a fact. That's why...
Vasudev Prabhu, we lost you. Hare Krishna. Maybe it's just me. Is it just me?
I think the
No, it's not just
connection is not...
No, he's frozen. Yeah, he's frozen. Oh, there he's back.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, good. I'm just going to a place with a little bit better internet connection. Yes. So yeah, we accept Shankaracharya as an incarnation of Lord Shiva, who appeared to bring, at that time, India back from Buddhism to... But he preached a kind of a covered form of Buddhism. So, yeah, the concept of the absolute he preached was nirvishesha, no quality, so it's basically empty. So it's very akin to the Buddhist concept of shunyavada, of emptiness. The Vedas, and so he took he took things a step forward, and then the Vaishnava acharyas like Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, they taught the complete understanding that Vishnu is the supreme truth.
Gail, are you satisfied? Living in the forest of Vrindavan?
Well, like I said, it wasn't a question, it was a comment. I just wanted to bring out the point that Shankaracharya, in his heart, although he preached Mayavad, he was a devotee at heart. And therefore, in the end of his life, he did encourage the worship of Govinda.
Yes, that's true. That's why we also respect in our sampradaya. We respect Shankaracharya and all the other acharyas, but we did disagree with the philosophy. But we're not like we don't attack the personality of Shankaracharya, but we do disagree with his philosophy. I see a Narottam Nitai.
Dandavas Prabhuji, I just wanted to make a, a comment. I really appreciated your class. I guess my comment is regarding the rigor of austerity that was present during the time of Madhvacharya, at least practiced by devotees. Is I mean, maybe my question isn't right, but do you think the rigor of austerity is somewhat can be better now in these days? Do you think it's people in general are more, or devotees I don't know how to say this, but do you think we can have a better improvement in the in our austerity of practice? Because I think that's one takeaway that I can take from the time of Madhvacharya and Shankaracharya is that um, their dedication and rigor was very exemplary. So I wanted to ask that.
Yeah, certainly Madhvacharya, he lived an extremely exemplary life. That's why he's called Acharya. He teaches by example. Actually, in Madhva Vijaya also there is a description of his daily life, which is I found quite interesting. So he would get up very early in the morning, like way before sunrise, and he would take bath and he would engage in meditation. He would sit in yoga asana and he would chant japa and meditate on Lord Narayana and study Shastra. And then when the sun would rise, he would do Sandhya Vandana, prayers during the Sandhya, the morning, and also he would do the same at noon and in the evening at sunset. And he would speak from the scriptures for many, many hours with his disciples. So sometimes he would dictate commentaries and so on. And then at noon, he took again a bath. And then after that, he did Shalagram Puja. He received Shalagram Shilas from Vasudev, and with perfect concentration, and he offered all 16 items of worship, like we're even doing today, to the Shalagram. And then he took prasad. He ate. And immediately after taking prasad, he would again sit with disciples or meet with other people, other learned people, or just general people, just discussing the Vedic Shastra. So like that, he spent his days in a very rigorous, strict schedule, even while he was traveling, and yeah, quite austere in that way. So we even see those same austerities performed in our Sampradaya by even to a greater degree by the Goswamis. And even in the present day, we see the sannyasis of the Madhva Mat, they live very austere lives. Many of our Vaishnava sannyasis lead very austere lives. But of course, we are more, I would say the Madhva Sampradaya is very Vedic, keeps very close to Vedic culture, which is becoming more and more hard to follow in this day and age. So, so we have this principle of yukta vairagya, or using things in the service of Krishna, in which we're not so particular about every single ritual, which is very hard to follow, but we're stick more to the essence of engaging things in Krishna's service and chanting the holy names, which is a formula for spiritualization much more applicable to the world. Like if you would preach Madhva's way of life in the Western world, it would be very, very hard to follow. So that's the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and Srila Prabhupada, who took those teachings and made it practicable for us, and with the focus on the holy name and not so much like chanting Sandhya Vandana 3 times of the day and doing meditation and extensive study of the Shastra, of the Vedanta, and so on, which is all a little bit beyond our pay grade usually. But the essential principles, again, are philosophical principles, Madhva taught, they're maintained.
Thank you, Vasudev Prabhu. Yeah, we are service-oriented. Vasudev Prabhu, a quick question. Can you explain for a 4-year-old the difference between a Nirvishesha, Shunyavadi, Brahmavadi, and Mayavadi? Those 4 things.
Yes. So Nirvishesha, so it's what Prabhupada says is Nirvishesha Shunyavadi. So the Nirvisheshavadis and the Shunyavadis. So the Shunyavadis are the Buddhists, basically, and also you could say modern scientists could say everything's ultimately zero. Everything comes from like if you ask them what's before the Big Bang, there's like really nothing. So they're also in the essence Sunyavadis. Sunya, that means the doctrine of zero. So the Buddhists and also modern philosophy is basically Sunyavad. Nirvisheshavad is the doctrine of non-variety, that the absolute truth has no variety. Now within them there's what's called Mayavadis and Brahmavadis. Now the Mayavadis, they say all variety is Maya. So that these are Mayavadis. Brahmavadis, they worship the impersonal Brahman. They're more attracted to the impersonal Brahman, but they don't reject Krishna's name form. They still will say these are all Satchidananda, they're also real, but they're just worshiping the impersonal. They're more attracted to the impersonal. So that's the difference between a Mayavadi and a Brahmavadi.
Thank you, Vasudev Prabhu. Thank you.
Did I capture all your Nirvishesha, Shunyavadi, Mayavadi, Brahmavadi?
Yes, yes. Thank you. Nityananda
Anand Bihar Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
So the Buddhists and the Mayavadi go to a pizza shop. What do they order?
The whole pizza, I guess.
The Buddhist says, Buddhist says, make me one with nothing. And the Mayavadi says, make me one with everything.
That's right. That's right. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you, Annabelle, for the wonderful Giriraj Darshan. Thank you, Sage, for the Paw Patrol Darshan. Thank you. Thank you very much. Are you ready to chant? The junior choir, Isaiah, Annabelle, Sage, Sky, please unmute yourself and chant. This is the ultimate refutation.
Let's see what's Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you very much.
Thank
I'm
you.
so proud to be part of the same sampradaya that Isaiah and Annabelle and Sage and Sky are part of, and Vasudev Prabhu. What am I doing here? There's such great souls in our sampradaya.
Yes.
How wonderful is Krishna that we all have a role to play to keep our sampradaya going. Thank you,
And on
Vasudev.
these days we can remember, because sometimes we just take it for granted. We're just here. But there's people who sacrificed a lot for us to be here. Madhvacharya being one of them. He's very painstakingly established against great opposition that Vishnu is the highest, is the absolute truth. That there's a person, that's why it's called Ananda Tirtha. There's the bliss of exchange of love with the Supreme Lord. It's not all one. So that's why Madhva, there's sweetness. He brought sweetness. Otherwise, that will have been covered for us. And Lord Chaitanya brought that. And then Srila Prabhupada brought that same message for us. So these are days where we can express gratitude and pray Yeah, that so much is done for us, so much. Yeah, these great souls have given us so that we can actually engage in bhakti and chant the holy names with a proper understanding.
Thank you very much, Vasudev Prabhu. A truly great class. Thank you.
Jaya.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Madhavacharya, and other wonderful members of our Sampradaya ki jai. Thank you very much, dear devotees, for not taking it for granted, for coming every day. Come again tomorrow. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Ram, say Hare Krishna.
Hey, Krishna Ram.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.